So Erika Kirk finally decided to respond to all the haters on social media. Yeah, the streets have been hot lately. She took it to X, where they right now have the largest following. Because I checked on YouTube and I couldn't see the video posted to YouTube at all of the response video, which is crazy for what Turning Point USA is. They literally failed to garner at least an average of 5,000 views on their videos, which is crazy. Totally shows you that you can't replace Charlie, unfortunately. So they took it to X because everybody's on X. So we have the video. We're going to do a reaction commentary. So let's go ahead and get into this.
It seems to me that nothing will ever be enough for the evil in this world. Our country has become unrecognizable. These people have perverted the truth to the point that they motivated the murder of my husband. They have continuously tried to assassinate the president, and anyone who stands in their way is labeled hateful, racist, fascist, and every other trigger word that is grossly dishonest.
Before she just continues, how many of you believe the assassination attempts have been genuine? I understand however the media paints it. But if you tell me the place which is supposed to be the most secure, and if you look at the recent released image from the hotel, you have a lot of questions on that. I'm going to do a separate video about that, about the security. I feel like that was the way for Trump to leave the judges, stopping them from building the ballroom. That was just a perfect way to come back and say, we are going to build the ballroom and Americans are going to pay for it. $400 million. Now, all of a sudden, Americans have to pay. At first, they said they have the money, but now they're saying, oh, Americans are going to have to pay from your taxes, right? That's what they're telling us. Our taxes are just going to go in the ballroom because we need this so bad. Interesting. Okay.
We want the best for our country. They don't. This is why Charlie started Turning Point USA in the first place. He didn't trust the radicalized liberal teachers. And this past Saturday, it was a school teacher, of all people, a school teacher, that attempted to change our history for the worst with bullets. And everyone is asking why I even went to the White House Correspondents Dinner. And it was because many of the journalists in that room have attempted to dehumanize me, and I wanted to meet some of them face to face, quite frankly. Why have a conversation about me when you can have a conversation with me?
Now, listen, I respect Erika for doing that. It's pull up or shut up. If you have enemies, if you have people who don't like you and they're saying stuff about you, what's the perfect way to do it? What's the perfect way of confronting them than showing up in their face and say it to my face. Say it to my face. Yeah, let's see if you have the guts, right? You talk tough over there. So let's see if you can keep the same energy now that I'm in your face. Much respect to Erika for that. Hey, 100%, I applaud her for doing that. Keep the same energy, because that's something that I would definitely would do.
So, for example, a journalist from the Daily Mail came up to me. She introduced herself, and she was very gracious. She was saying, "You look so beautiful. I'm so sorry for your loss." To which I replied, "It is so nice to put a name to the face, especially with all of the slander, the lies, accusations that are out there surrounding my husband's murder and myself." And I said to her, "You know what's so interesting? This is my first time at the White House Correspondents Dinner, and I find it so fascinating, the dynamic that is going on right now, because everyone is all dressed up, and you guys are co-mingling in and out of each other's cocktail parties. And so for one night, you are able to put aside all of your differences for the sake of freedom of speech. And then by Monday morning, things will go back to being an absolute bloodbath between all of you." To which she replied, literally, she said, "I know. Isn't it special, right?"
That is special. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. put your differences aside sometimes so you can come together for the sake of freedom of speech. Which, by the way, let me just remind Erika for a second, freedom of speech is being stripped away not by the radical lefts that you are describing, not by these journalists. No, it's actually from people like you and the people that you guys are supporting, highly supporting Donald Trump. He was the best cheerleader for freedom of speech, and people felt it was necessary to vote for him. We got deceived. I was deceived by this person, but now he's trying to silence everyone. Jimmy Kimmel is about to be silenced because of, I just don't know what happened. You can't say anything. You literally cannot say anything. You can't criticize the administration. All of a sudden, you are radical extremist. You are anti Semitic just simply because of criticizing the way the journalists have been treated, even from the likes of Pete Hegseth, questioning people's loyalty, lecturing journalists as they are asking him questions. Trump in the 60 Minutes calling the journalist horrible for bringing up the manifesto of the shooter, calling a journalist horrible, literally exercising freedom of speech. And by the way, just repeating what somebody had said. So I'm sorry, but we're just not living in the same world.
Isn't tonight so special? And following that conversation, it was time to take our seats, and we went into the big ballroom where the dinner was. And one of the first things I noticed when I walked into that room was quite literally the proximity of the opposing outlets to one another. So you have one table here that's Politico, and another table here that's Fox, and another table here that's WAPO, and you're all crammed together, elbow to elbow. And to make the night even more of a spectacle, every single 10-person table had 10 bottles of wine. And the president of the White House Correspondents Association, she did a great job of trying to make the evening have that feeling of Americana. You know, we were in a room celebrating freedom of speech despite our differences. And the U.S. Marine Band performed the national anthem so beautifully. And then shortly thereafter, gunshots rang out and total chaos ensued. And you guys have all seen what happened next because there are 1,000 videos of it.
Yeah.
So
saw it.
Let's discuss that fact for a second.
Let's discuss that fact for a second, Erika. Let's get into it.
If you were in that room, you had no way of knowing what the status of the shooter was, how many there were, or honestly, really anything. It was just utter chaos. And so during an active shooting, these journalists are using their phones to find moments to capture for clips. They were so concerned about getting a video in a room with an active shooter that they could have accidentally and quite literally filmed themselves being shot.
Okay. See, this is where people begin to draw the line and start criticizing the heck out of Erika. They are more concerned. And by the way, the job title literally says journalist. Did you forget the job of journalists? They document, report facts. At least that's what they're supposed to do, right? They investigate, depending on the type of journalist. But if these people are recording these moments that they actually are in, the moments that they're experiencing, the things that they are concerned about, is making sure that they report factual news, because we know exactly what the news does. They begin to spin things. So if nobody had footages, if nobody was recording anything, we could have just been told anything. We could have been told lies and lies. But it's because people are there that these people are forced to come out and give us the truth. And the fact that we didn't know how many people were there shooting, you don't think, at least because you have journalists and people are out with cell phones recording moments, that should have been enough to actually store evidence, provide evidence to authorities for the world to see. If there was 12 gunmen, for instance, would you rather not have someone with at least some clips so you can provide substantial evidence to say there was about 12 gunmen. This is exactly what unfolded here. This is the moment, at least somebody captured, even if they got killed. You know who else was concerned about CLAPS? Our own people from Turning Point USA. What's his name? That one guy. He's laying on the ground shortly after Charlie got shot. And he's saying, Charlie just got shot. Charlie just got shot. He kept on repeating that over and over. Charlie just got shot. Charlie just got shot. Oh, but now the journalists whose job is to report are pulling out their phones because they are choosing to be brave, Erika, than crying, which I understand. You must be relieving this trauma that you're experiencing from losing your husband. I do understand that. But it's their job. It's not your job. You're not a journalist. So how dare you come out and start criticizing journalists to say they're more concerned about clips than safety? Who else should they be concerned about? You? You have your own security. They don't have the luxury of having personal security that like you have. That's crazy, yo.
Many of those people have become so desensitized that fight or flight became secondary to the opportunity of putting themselves into the story, which ironically breaks the number one rule of journalism.
Wait. Fight or flight. Literally, like they're putting themselves, it's almost like you telling me, since I wasn't there, it's almost as though you're saying they took a green screen and they put themselves in front of a green screen and then they casted the image from what's going on and they pretended that they were part of the story. No, Erika, they were part of the story. They were part of the events that were unfolding. They were right there with you and the rest of everyone who was in danger. They were just as afraid as you was, except they chose to be brave and took out their phones to start recording. This is why she gets criticized for going out there and crying, saying she's stealing the moment. Because how dare you come out and criticize people who are choosing to be brave and reporting facts? Yet they don't have the luxury that you have of being famous for taking Charlie's spot as the CEO. Nobody told you to be the CEO. Well, this has to be the decision that you made with the board of directors from Turning Point USA. But you know what else comes with that? You take all the heat that comes down on the organization. You are the face of the organization. So people are going to criticize. You have to take all that in. You have to soak it in. You have to be ready to receive all the criticism as the CEO of Turning Point USA. You can't say people are not going to say anything. Unfortunately, Charlie used to take that all the time, every single day. He woke up to people calling him names with threats on his life every single day. That's just how it is. This is your job. This is a role that you chose to step in. You could have chosen to step away from that, be in the background, mourn your husband, and then come back. Maybe after a year, maybe after 6 months, but at least be with your children, right? But how dare you come down on these journalists who are reporting and trying to tell them they're just trying to be part of this moment. They just want to seize the moment. They just want to go viral. That's just what they want to do. So was the cry real? Like, were you faking it after you saw people pulling out their phones and people lined up and then you just say, I just want to go home? Like, was that real? Or were you just trying to go viral?
And again, ironically enough, the shooter was a teacher. You have these people who are supposed to be teaching our children the future of this country, and he's so unhinged that he is able to teach children by day and then attempt to murder the president of the United States by night. And in his manifesto, he starts by contextualizing himself by saying, I am a citizen of the United States of America.
Is he not?
And while we may have big problems with illegal immigration in this country, I have to tell you, we have an even bigger problem when it comes to the systemic indoctrination and radicalization of our own citizens.
Okay,
This
let's
is
get
what got
into
my
it.
husband killed.
Yeah.
This is what has led to 3 legitimate attempts on President Trump's life. And I can speak firsthand to that unbearable toll that this must take on our First Lady. There has never been a president who has faced this many assassination attempts in Americans' entire history. And after each one, the reaction from the far left has been, at best, a shrug, and in some cases, a sick disappointment that the shooter was unsuccessful. We are all human beings. And if you can just
Yeah.
pause and just take a minute and ask yourself,
Yeah.
how would you feel if even just one person made cruel jokes about the attempted murder of your loved one? That is what Jimmy Kimmel did to the First Lady.
Yeah.
He said that she had the glow of an expected widow.
Yeah.
The glow of an expected widow.
Yeah.
Just 48 hours before that nightmare almost became a reality.
Okay. So if we are going to take 48 hours before that nightmare became a reality and then bring that into question, like somehow saying, well, because of what Jimmy Kimmel said on TV, this is what incentivized this guy to go out and attack Donald Trump. Well, we don't see that, first of all, in the in his manifesto that he left behind. We don't see that. Jimmy Kimmel is not mentioned. The guy details out all the problems that he had with the Trump administration, right? And just the United States of America. So it's nothing to do with Jimmy Kimmel. But then, secondly, did you see when Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked in the house, in their house, right? What did Trump come out and say? He mocked. He mocked Nancy Pelosi, mocked the husband repeatedly. Repeatedly. He did that on Halloween. It was a whole thing. There was he posted a photo with an underwear, which had a hammer as well, saying that was a costume that he was going to go out with on Halloween. That was going to be his Halloween costume. And repeatedly kept making statements, even on the campaign trail, talking about the wall, that Nancy Pelosi needs to be protected, right? Like the guy jumped over the wall, something like that to that extent. But it's crazy that now the tables have turned. It's their turn to be mocked. All of a sudden, it's problematic. And so we should cancel people for speaking out. The former director of the FBI dies, and Trump says, good. Like he's happy that he's dead. So not only are you mocking Nancy Pelosi's husband, which, by the way, I'm not even defending Democrats here or anything like that, because I'm these liberals and whatever they're out of control. Okay, they're just out of control. I left that ship. I left it alone a long time ago. But what I'm not agreeing with is you can't sit here and say, oh, this is good on our end. They make excuses for Trump all the time. He says anything, they just make excuses of, oh, no, he was just making jokes. Oh, he was just joking. But as soon as somebody says something that they don't like, oh, man, it's a bloodbath out there. They need to be fired. They need to lose their job. They need to, oh, you cannot say this. But we're still promoting freedom of speech, right? How hypocritical to say, this is what my husband Charlie formed the organization for. But then as soon as somebody expresses freedom of speech, how dare you say that? You should become unhinged. You need to pick a side. Do you want to be a hypocrite? Do you want to promote freedom of speech? Or what is it? Are you just lying to people and just taking people's money? Like, which one is it? This is crazy. These people, they literally say it so much that they don't even believe in their own lies. They don't even believe in their own lies at all. At least you can halfway believe your own lies to make it sound like it's true. This is insane.
And this culture we're living in absorbs disagreement as a form of personal betrayal. It turns having an opposing viewpoint into a moral crime worthy of punishment. And here's what I've realized.
Hold on. This is exactly what you guys are doing to Jimmy Kimmel, that he needs to lose his job. The first lady of the first lady literally was the first one to come out and say he needs to lose his job. And then comes the husband behind. What are you talking about? These people are crazy.
Through all of this, truly, having lived through quite literal hell these past 7 months, if you strip someone of their humanity long enough, you will arrive at the chilling conclusion that they don't deserve to exist at all.
Okay, so the hell that you have gone through the past 7 months has nothing to do with anybody else but you. You chose to be the CEO of the biggest movement right now in America that you decided to take on. Nobody forced you to do it. You didn't have to. But the responsibility that comes with that is exactly what you're going through right now. This is what your husband dealt with. And for that same reason, you should have stayed away and let somebody else take on the role. But no, no, no. You wanted to prove that you were equal to your husband. You didn't like to be a traditional wife. You didn't like to just sit back and take care of your kids. No, it's time to switch it up. Let me put on this heavy makeup, heavy makeup. Let me put on this jewelry. Let me have a grand WWE entrance. It's WrestleMania over here, baby. But you can't wrestle with criticism. You can't take the hit. That's very interesting, Erika.
Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface.
Hey, shout out to Druski.
I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO, and I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on.
Shout out to Druski. First of all, comedians dressing in whiteface. Yeah, that's their freedom, right? It's part of freedom of speech. Like they can feel free to express themselves. And you guys were very angry at that. Well, newsflash, he's an American. He has rights just as much as you are. You don't have to like it, but you can just be quiet about it if you are branding yourself as people who promote and preserve freedom of speech. It's what it is, right? People criticizing you that you're not fit to be CEO. Probably not, because you're too emotional. This is something that Charlie would never do. He never did any of this. Like literally, he never did any of this. He never let emotions get to him, saying, every morning I wake up to people saying this, people saying that, people saying that. No, because he was a man. I'm not saying people cannot be CEOs, women cannot be CEOs. I'm just saying you probably don't need a woman to be the CEO of Turning Point USA. Probably not. That's just my opinion. You need a man to step in that role and take over. Candace Owens never publicly has said anything remotely that you killed your husband. That has been debunked. And that was a private conversation where she was joking. So they crawled back now and said, these are the messages that she had posted. These are the messages that she had posted in the text messages. She's never said that publicly. She has never said that at all.
There is a serious epidemic of dehumanization plaguing this country.
I agree.
The most unthinkable tragedies have now become commonplace in our daily headlines, and yet the media finds a way to conveniently explain away violence. This is what we're up against.
I totally disagree that this is exactly just what the media does. But also, this is what the right is doing now. How dare you? How dare you lock arms with injustice? What about everything happening in Gaza? What about everything happening in Iran? What about all those people, right? You dare criticize them, then you just ostracized from society. You don't belong. You are not American. You deserve to be fired. You deserve to go to prison. It's crazy. But as long as it doesn't fit their narrative, then everybody else is just unhinged. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to click on the notification bell so you know next time I post the video. Thanks for watching. I am Lukun Kamlenga. You can support this channel by inviting a friend and let them invite a friend. See you guys next time.